No, stop, 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 stop.
Oh, we've been a few though.
How's everybody doing? Okay, hi everybody, welcome. Last week we talked about wisdom and skillful means, the two arms of Bodhisattva Buddhist path. So wisdom is reading and studying the Dharma, and then skillful means is the practices that we do, and the idea is that we use those two to make Dharma a part of our everyday life. And we use the word realize to realize the Dharma teachings in our own lives. And so that way, a subject like compassion or loving kindness, for example, becomes so much a part of your being on this path that you just become a passionate person. You don't have to think about it anymore. You become that way. It becomes part of you. We say you become a dharmic person because it just becomes incorporated with who you are. And you remember the analogy last week of the Zen expression, words don't cook rice. So this is words and cooking together, and you end up with rice, real food. In Mahayana, there are three specific practice methods that I want to talk about. We are talking about visualization, aspiration, and contemplation. And the practice we talked about last week of sending and receiving, sending and taking, is a visualization practice because in your mind you're actually watching dark smoke you're watching dark smoke come into your body, and you're breathing out the light coolness. And so that's like you've got this process in motion, and you're picturing things happening and so forth. And you imagine taking on other people's pain by breathing in the dark smoke. And so, but all the while, again, you're understanding that none of this is solid. You're not actually taking their pain. You're actually kind of looking at how pain is fluid and spacious and not solid or permanent. And in this view, in the Mahayana view, the only permanent thing is your Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the blue sky behind the clouds, and it is always there. So you could say that Buddha nature is permanent. Everything else is impermanent. So none of that is new to you guys. Do you have any comments or thoughts about any of that so far? No? Okay, tonight, the practice that we're going to talk about is an aspiration practice. And it is kind of like a visualization because you can sort of see things happening, but actually at this point, what we're doing is we're speaking out loud what we want. It's almost like a prayer, except you're not praying to anybody to fix you, You are saying out loud the qualities that you want to have in yourself or the way you want things to be. And we're kind of talking to ourselves or reminding ourselves of the way things are. Okay? And there's a lot of this kind of practice when you go to a practice group here at EBS and they start off with some kind of prayers. That's what they're doing. And so tonight we're going to work with one of those, all right? It's like a declaration of what can happen. And if we were to assume the attitude of a Buddha, the ones that we're talking about tonight, if we were to assume the attitude of a Buddha, these qualities would be us. We would have these qualities. And next week we'll look at the third method, contemplation. But tonight, we're doing an aspiration practice. So first I want to talk about Pema's chapter on loving kindness. And she talked about why we do this, about we need to see through the ideas that limit us and the habits of self-preservation that distract us from realizing our true nature. The way she said it is, if we're committed to comfort at any cost, as soon as we come up against the least edge of pain, we're going to run. And then we never know what's beyond that particular wall or barrier or fearful thing. So in the chapter, she's urging us to push ourselves to go beyond those boundaries. And if we do, the result is that we become more comfortable with ourselves, with all of ourselves, with even the parts we aren't so happy about. So she uses the word befriending. We befriend ourselves and we are curious. She also talked about curiosity. And she said, and I'm quoting her again, the path of meditation and the path of our lives altogether has to do with curiosity and inquisitiveness. The ground is ourselves. We are here to study ourselves and to get to know ourselves the way we really are. So what she's saying is that we have to go to the edge of our comfort zone and become familiar with that place so that we can experience things differently. And in my own experience, when I see things, my edges, they dissolve on their own. They start to change on their own just because I see them. It seems like it's going to hurt to look at the ugly places, but actually just looking makes my heart soften and things change. And I'm not going to tell too many stories on myself, but I will say that, like, if someone hurts me, I recently was with someone I love very much, and they hurt me. They said things that really, really hurt me. And I was like, okay, I didn't know this would hurt me like this. I didn't know how much I wanted that person to like me, to approve of me. I didn't know how much I was currying their favor subtly or subconsciously or unconsciously. And that was really good to know, that I was with someone I was trying to help, but I was doing it so they would like me. You know what I mean? And then when they didn't like me, it upset something that I was doing, and I didn't know that. So now I know that, and now what happened is that my hurt turned into compassion for them, because I realized, that they need something from me I'm not giving them, and now I can see it, so now I can give it to them. And they needed space, is what they needed. They were going, and I was like, but. And so this is why we talk about edges, because you run into these things, and in fact, in the whole Mahayana path, this is kind of what we're trying to do. So, take an aspiration practice like the 4 Immeasurables, and it works to say those things out loud because we actually do have Buddha nature. We can trust that if we go ahead and look at the scary stuff, there will be a way to deal with it. There is a way to deal with it. There is a heart that can handle it already in us. And if we start rejecting parts of ourselves, and that's what she's saying in the reading, if you start pushing away things you don't like, you could be pushing away things that are very central to your wisdom. You're not, right? So, the 4 qualities are the qualities of a Buddha, and that we can expect to find them within ourselves. In the reading, they talked about, the reading came from a prison meditation project. So it was something taught to people in prison. And it has a kind of, it's sort of cheerful, and I don't know, it has a spin to it in a way. Like, if you do this, you'll be happier, And I'm saying the same thing, but I think I'm saying it a little bit differently. But I'll let you figure out for yourselves what they describe: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Those are the 4 qualities. And clearly we can help more people, including ourselves, if we can bring these qualities to the forefront. So that's the purpose of this aspiration practice. It is to declare our commitment to bringing those qualities into life, in our lives. In the Berkeley Dharma Center, where Mick and I first trained as Buddhists, we recited these 4 lines every time we meditated. It was part of how you started the day. And in some of the practice groups here at ABS, they recite this prayer. In the Dr. Lai group, we say it, and we're gonna do his version later. I'm gonna share it with you. But in a way, by saying the prayer out loud, we're convincing ourselves that these things are there. And sort of as we did last time, we talked about with Tonglen, you start close to home and then you expand outward. That's the way we were taught. So having love for people close by, and then having love for people a little bit less close, and then eventually love for your enemies, and so forth. So in that way, you're sort of deepening your own exposure to the qualities, and you're also expanding your awareness at the same time. So just like with Tonglen, though, resistance usually arises. So if you say, I'm going to be loving, the first thing you feel is like, no. And I think about, especially you feel like excluding some people, like I'm going to be very loving to everybody except Tommy. Or except the person who stole my credit card. Or except people who beat their children. Or there's always something, everybody but. And so then you find out where your edges are, and you just look at it. So I want to stop and ask you if you have any thoughts or reactions or comments. Just let me do all the talking tonight.
Well, that's what they're used to.
What? They're used to?
From me.
Oh. You trained them to passively take notes and try to catch all the numbers in the list.
Is Tonglen, is that originally, or is it Tonglen?
Tonglen, Tonglen. Tonglen.
Is that originally a Hindu practice that
Could
was
be.
adopted by the Mahayanas?
It very well could be. It's from Indian Buddhism. So it's not, the Tibetans didn't invent it, even though it's nowadays mostly a Tibetan practice, but it was in India, practiced in India. But I'm not sure about how to trace it all together. In fact, the whole school of Lojong was preserved by this one teacher, and people can trace who he was, and he wasn't even in India, so he was like in Sri Lanka or something like that. And then people went and studied with him, and then they spread it around. So anyway, so what else do you want to know? What do you think? All right.
Well, can we go back to because I wrote it down, I want to
Yeah.
If you reject things, and I couldn't catch it all, but if you reject the things that you don't like about yourself, exile them. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yes.
That you might be missing something that,
Yes.
you might be missing something that can serve you, serve the world. What did you say after that?
Well, if you are a Buddha already, okay, let's just say you're a Buddha, then something comes up in you. If you say, no, that's not acceptable, I don't accept that, you could be rejecting something that has a lot of wisdom to it.
Even the dark stuff?
even the dark stuff.
Is that like shadow work, you think?
Yeah.
Very much like shadow work. It's very much like, well, let me ask you this, if you see the shadow stuff, you don't just shut it off, right? The whole modern approach is to try to look at it,
I mean, yeah, some of us run from it, but it takes a lot of practice to be able to sit with it.
it does. And that's part of why this stuff comes in the school that Mick and I grew up in. This Mahayana stuff comes well after all the stuff that Doug was talking about. You have to be settled in yourself. You have to be brave.
Yeah,
You have to
okay.
have the strength to face.
You have to have the strength to face it all. You have to have the
Okay.
skill to face it all.
So we're not ready for that Tomlin thing?
Probably not.
Yeah, okay, okay.
It seems very worrisome.
That was, so I read it.
Toe in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so I read it and like,
yeah,
the last chapter, I wasn't here last week, I watched the video, Pema say the whole situation. I knew the truth. I knew that like, if you have something weird with your mom, if not, all that's not sitting with you that was in the book, then you probably need to figure out something else. And I knew that, but it was nice to hear
Right.
someone experienced and with wisdom to say it, to give us permission to. So, yeah, but then I thought, I'm really not ready for any of that. Like,
Right.
I don't feel like I'm ready for that at all. Like, I'm just still trying to be quiet.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right.
yeah, yeah,
So, I'm still
yeah,
just trying to
exactly.
be still.
First, tame your mind. That's what he said. First, tame your mind. And then number 2 is do no harm or whatever. But tame your mind, do no harm, be of service.
Yeah, well, that's so we're just.
We're at the be of service part right now. And, better if the more tamed you are, the more you can do service.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll just say that the people that jump right into Mahayana oftentimes are already involved in service, like they're medical people, or they're therapists, or they're already there, and these teachings help them do that skillfully with a Buddhist perspective. And I am not a therapist. I'm an accountant. You know what I mean? That's like, I'll do your taxes for you. But so, yes, this is all kind of like, but I still think it's helpful to have it, right?
Yeah,
To have an idea of where we're going.
yeah, it did seem, I did think that after reading that, after watching the video, I thought, well, I'm able to sit now a little bit better, not like, great. And so I thought, because I kept looking at that going, I can't do that. But I thought, if I can sit better, then this is also accessible at some point, that this is just not.
Just not right
yet.
now, not right out the gate. That's right.
Yeah, I think that it's helpful to also hear that. I don't know how many people.
Yeah, I don't know if
are new to that.
Until you asked that question,
to
I
know
don't
where
think
you are.
anybody heard that. Right.
To also have permission to. be
You were all
like,
sitting here going,
still
oh no,
sitting.
I should do this.
Yeah, I can't.
No,
So that was, the meta prayer too, to me though, was also, because this seems similar to
it
me.
is, yeah.
So the meta
Right,
prayer.
this is meta part 2.
This is meta.
I sort of did Theravada meta. I didn't really talk about the chapter. You're talking about more what Lynn was talking about.
But it still was, even then, I was like, I'm not ready for that. But I just keep going back to, I'm just in the sit state.
Yes.
Just
Right.
in the be quiet and
Yeah.
still the mind state.
And that,
And all this other stuff looks great, really, but at some point.
well, and I think in my experience and the people that I've have been around all these years, it comes to you. It'll be like really clear to you that, oh, I need something different. I'm fine with sitting now, I've got it all figured out.
Right.
Now what about this, and then you do it, and you reach for
Start getting
that.
that intuition, where it's like, I think I need to dig a little deeper.
Yeah,
Because we want to avoid the opposite problem, which is a lot of people are just taught how to sit, and that's all they ever know. And they think that's all Buddhism is. And so they just do exactly the same kind of sitting for 20 years, and it's like, well, Buddhism doesn't really do anything for me. Well, you didn't get past step 1. So you have to know that there's more.
right.
Out there. Yeah.
I've been in the room with Pema when she says like, yeah, but have you changed? You'll go, what? I'm really good at doing this thing that that they taught me, but have you changed? Ooh.
It also makes it make more sense to me why, when I'm struggling with the loving kindness meditation, or like what we did last week. I mean, last week you said mother, and I went, nope, I thought of my son. I mean, it's just like, not even gonna try, right? And, but.
Poor mothers, all of our poor mothers.
But it also makes more sense to me that this is advanced. And so part of why I'm struggling with it so much is because I've got to back up and work on stilling my mind, just being still. And so I'm trying to do something that's beyond my skill set.
Yeah.
And so my body goes,
Yeah.
you know, and so that makes sense to me too. I hadn't thought about that I was trying to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you raised that question.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really fair to say that Mahayana is more advanced than Theravada.
No, you can say that, that's okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, because a lot of it is, there are things that you're sort of expected to sort of, you know, like be a stringent kind of person, like to really have a solid, intuitive understanding of the path to approach some of these things, especially like, you know, the Vajrayana and the Tantra and all of that.
All
It's
of
like
that
you,
later.
you will be so lost if you don't really have a solid practice. So, no, I think that's quite true. You know, totally good with that.
Yeah, and this is an introductory course too. So we're trying.
It's a survey.
Yes, I'm like, you wouldn't go to a intro to biology class and be freaked out because you can't, you know, dissect a frog, you know. So
But I still want
it's,
to know what's going to happen in the biology class. I want to know where I'm going, right?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. And it is important because also you live in a world where there are Buddhists of these different varieties, and you can know, you know, that, oh, Pema and her school, they're doing this business of the emptiness and the, you know, trying to be a Buddha, you know, as opposed to just taming themselves, calming down and sitting still. So we have to, you know, I'm laying it in front of you. You can pick it up where and when you're ready. And it is really common for people to say, pick up a book they read 10 years ago or something and go, I had no idea, I've never seen this before, but oh my goodness, it's, you know, because it's time to hear it. It wasn't time then, now it is.
I can remember first hearing about Tom when it was like from Pema actually.
Yeah.
I think it was a retreat, weekend retreat, and it was like, get out of here. I'll try. And they said nothing, she said nothing else other than just imagine it that you're doing smoke. Leave out the person and whatever. But if there's something hot and heavy, and you breathe it in, and you know, and everybody goes, their nose starts curling, imagining hot smoke,
Throat closes up.
but then
Yeah.
transforming it into clear, light, mist, cooling and soothing. And that I could get behind. And then as it was explained to me too, is that this whole thing is imaginary, and it's softening breath by breath your borders. And you're like, where do you define what's acceptable and what's not? And that compassion is one of those things that there isn't, I guess, any borders to in its kind of state, natural state or whatever. So softening your borders about your own limitations, you know, so it does get easier when it starts looking like that. But if you just jump right into it, yeah, it's pretty like, but try to be impersonal, you know, once in a while.
Network.
Just to like, you know, give body jokes.
I like what she said in the last week in her talk, where she said, if you know, just choose yourself as the subject of it. You know, I can't do this. I can't breathe, and work with that and like breathe out relief to that distracted, upset you. Oh, this is hard. I can't do this. It's all okay. I think about your grandson seeing the ocean for the first time. And it's like, unless he's an Arkansas boy and someone took him to the Gulf, somebody has to show you what's there. And then you can go, oh, yeah, I didn't know that. You loved it, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got that experience. He'll always have that experience.
He'll always have it.
It's some person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why we have this place. And teachers and Dharma teachings. We're not doing this alone.
Right.
We're doing
It's
it.
true. Generations of people
Yeah.
who have trained and practiced really hard and brought it down to us. It's true. Okay. So the prayer. We say this, like I said, with Dr. Lai's Sunday morning practice group, which is a Tibetan Vajrayana book study group. And I'm not sure if there are other EBS groups that say it too. But here's how he says it, okay? He says, may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. That's the loving kindness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's the compassion. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. That's the sympathetic joy. And may they rest in equanimity, free from the biases of attachment and aversion. So in his version and the one in the handout, the prayer starts very broad. You start with all sentient beings. And in the version that we did in Berkeley, we were taught to start with ourselves. And that's like Pema says in the reading, we have to practice kindness towards ourselves. And I think that's an adaptation of the classical practice to Westerners who are usually pretty hard on ourselves. And you're not going to be able to be kind towards everybody else if you're a bully at home, right? So in her version, she says, may I and all sentient beings have happiness. May we be free from suffering. And I think that makes a big difference. I like her version best. So, I think we could say this, it's time to maybe say it together. You probably didn't bring your handouts with you. So guess what?
Do we have the dancing ball?
That's right, we should have that. I only made 6 copies, I could make more. Maybe y'all could share.
Is it in the email?
It's in the email, but I added Dr. Lai's version. But we're just gonna do the Pema version.
Oh, okay, I see that one.
Yeah, that one's on the handout. You got it, Doug? All right. Wow, there's extras. Okay. Okay. So we're going to say Pema's version. Let's say it 3 times, okay? The Pema version. May I and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. May we rest in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. May I and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. May we rest in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. May I and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. May we rest in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So there, now we're all bodhisattvas. So that's, you can take that home and think about it and try saying it and see what happens. God, I'm almost through with my talk, so we're going to have to find something to talk about.
It's a short chapter.
Yeah. And I just want to say, this is my paragraph about we're moving very quickly over a very profound subject. And just like we did with Doug going through the Theravada, there's always more to say. I could throw a lot of jargon at you, and I don't want to do that. I'm trying to keep to the surface because I know you can always go deeper. There's plenty of sources for this. And I would recommend another voice. Pema's is the best. Okay, you won't find any better. But another one is Thich Nhat Hanh, and there's a group of his students here. His writing is infused with this same. He uses different language, as we saw, the way he reinterpreted the Heart Sutra. He has his own sort of language that he developed. You might find that easier to digest than the classic sort of Sanskrit terms. But the energy is there in him of and also I want to say, when I started learning Mahayana, I thought like Mick, oh great, another set of rules I'm going to have to memorize. Okay, be kind. How am I going to do that? And eventually I figured out that it isn't like you are following a bunch of laws or anything like that. It's that if you see, and we talked about this last time, if you see the way a bodhisattva sees, if you see the transparency of things, then these things come naturally. They're part of that vision. So you can beat yourself up about being more compassionate or being more loving or whatever. Or you can work on the very Theravadan sort of understanding that it's not like you think it is. Like, let's just challenge all those assumptions that we have, the ones that float up over and over again when you're sitting, I'm no good, I'm not this, blah, blah, blah. Where's that coming from? What does it look like? Why do I go there? So if you spend your energy working on that, you are going to end up with a bodhisattva point of view, because it's based on the transparency of everything, the fluidity of everything, the openness and spaciousness of everything. And when that's how you see the world, you understand that you can't not be compassionate towards people, because they're all swimming in the same terrible soup that you are. And they're doing the best they can just like you are. And all of that comes to you in a very real way. So that really helped me a lot. It's like, I'm struggling with a point of view. I'm not struggling with a rule book or behavior code of ethics, although that's part of it. But what I need is to see how they see things, and sort of think about analogies like the difference between being a child and an adult. And when you're an adult, you know how things work more than children do, so the world is completely different to you. You know what a bank account is, how money works, and kids don't. So you can do more. And it's kind of like that. It's like figuring out how things work. To me, is the heart and soul of Buddhism. And the compassion stuff, well, it does make it easier, especially if you can do, like she says, be compassionate towards yourselves. It's hard. I'm doing a big thing. It's a big, big thing. And I need to be kind about it. I need to be gentle and patient and loving.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you talk about, it's not about, right, it's not about, oh, you should be like this and you should be like that. That's the worldly way. We just try to force ourselves to be some way, and it just backfires completely.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, you're developing qualities of the heart, right? And so it's not that you have to make yourself be loving, it's that if you have the quality of tenderheartedness, then you're naturally concerned. If you have the quality of kindness, then you naturally reach out. But our instincts is that kindness is weakness, right?
Yes.
And if you're tenderhearted, you're vulnerable and you're going to get hurt, right? And what Buddhism wants you to understand is that tenderheartedness actually makes you strong. If you are tenderhearted and kind, you can deal with any situation. It's not that you have a hard shell to protect you. You have, your bones are strong, right? You have an inner strength,
Right.
you know, so
Right.
you can be tenderhearted. But, you know, so it's more like, how can I be more tenderhearted to this terrible person? You know, or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Instead of, oh, I've got to make myself smile and say something kind to him, it's like, that's not.
When I want to
how
kick
it
him in the
works.
nose, yeah.
Right. It's like, can I feel the right way towards him, and then everything else will follow.
Yeah, and just to echo what you're saying a little bit, what the enemy is selfishness, self-preservation, which is driven by fear. She says it in there, if you're committed to comfort at any cost, you're already lost. You're already lost. There's no such thing as comfort at any cost. There's no such thing. You can waste your life pursuing, and people do. You can look around you and see the gated communities and the private schools and private security guards, and they're still miserable.
Right.
So when you're trying to be loving and this reaction comes up, you can understand that's your natural instinct for self-preservation. You don't have to fight with it. You just say, I see. Oh yeah, I see you. But what about if we try this? Or let's just try this a little bit. And that's what you can work with very intimately, is that what I'm calling the edge of where you're comfortable. So why am I uncomfortable with this? Where does that come from? And usually it's something fearful or whatever. It's okay to say, I'm not going to look at that right now. Go back to that. Or something like that. Always, always kindness has to rule the day. That's her point.
This goes really well. It has complemented my work with therapy so much. Very contemplative. I've kind of always been that person. I've always been why did I do that after the fact? And where did that come from? Oh, and I will follow it all the way back down to a week ago, something that triggered, but then I'm also one of those that wants to explain it all, and I want you to know where it came from. So that's given me space of not needing to do that. That's been a shift, but I think that's what, if I could say something's missing from therapy, is the training of being able to sit with yourself and to be quiet and let these things come up. Because I think Djokovic does, is all about quiet and let things come up.
Yes.
And I wrestled with that of well, what if something comes up? Do I follow it and bring it back to the breath? But then there's also part of it that's well, this whole being curious, well, why do I feel that way? That has led me to a lot of healing. I've been oh, wow, there's this that happened, and I never really let go of it. That again is more therapy work, but then this is quiet time that's helping.
Well, they're both.
Yeah.
It's both. And the thing about the being quiet part is how you cultivate this steadiness, the equanimity, that is the fourth quality of being able to sit through, whatever's coming and going. And what you learn from that over time is that this information, that even the worst feelings are just like clouds. They have no substance. They are like, and I'm not saying that, suffering isn't real. I'm just saying that they're transitory, they are the energy, and they aren't necessarily bad. But you don't have to understand everything. You can also just let things happen and fall away. That's the other hand of it. There's two parts, right? But I mean, it is good to understand. I'm saying we need to know the recipe. We need to know the cookbook.
Yeah.
We need to see how it works and tear it down and make the lists and, say the things. But then we also need to just be quiet and still and let things be what they are, because they are okay at the heart of it. They are okay. Yeah, we were lucky. We did tons of therapy. I'm not revealing too much, I hope. But we had Buddhist therapists. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if this is just kind of ancient therapy. Is this a weird therapy?
Well, in
thing
a way,
from-
I mean, I think so. I don't know.
But yeah, she mentioned when people start to meditate or work on any kind of spiritual discipline, they often think that somehow they're going to improve. And then this was a couple weeks ago that I read this and underlined, which is sort of a subtle aggression against who they really are.
Yeah.
Like that resonated. I was like, oh yeah, like that's so true.
Yeah.
How we kind of beat ourselves into a format that we think is what's acceptable or what we're supposed to be. And all the curiosity about like, well, do we really need to be that person anymore? Do we need to be that format anymore?
Well, what do you learn if you beat yourself into being something? You don't learn
Right.
anything, right?
No, you're trying to be accepted.
It's the opposite of learning.
That.
Yeah.
That, like,
Yeah.
that compassion and self-acceptance first. That is so hard for so many people. You mentioned that too, and it just is. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things that I live with.
Yeah, so baby steps. We always talk about that. We talk in the meditation class after this one. We always talk about 10 minutes. Not like launch into, but so many people come to this with that sort of like, I'm gonna be spiritual, and run, here I go,
Yeah.
and it burns them up really quick.
Well, I also think that, like you said about timing, because I've tried to sit, I've tried to meditate. The kids were little, and we do whatever the Headspace app. I would do that with them. It was like just like 3 and 5 minute things. I couldn't sit through 3 minutes. I mean, and then it's just like a matter of a season of, oh, well, now it's time, and now I can do it. Now I come to the weekly, like I come to the daily 30-minute sits. I was like, that's again what I gave myself kind of encouragement of like, I never thought I could sit 30 minutes. I never thought I could sit 5. So that doesn't mean that Tonglen is off my list, right? So I did have that conversation with myself too. It was like, oh, I'm sitting, and I never thought I'd sit. So
I think the funnest thing not the funnest thing, but it's gonna change you, but you don't know how.
yeah. Well, and then to look back and say, I mean, I'm sure all of you that experienced it more can talk about all of the stories that you've experienced. But I mean, we just had a crazy trip on our spring break. We lost our transmission.
Oh my gosh.
The kids were, we were on our way to go snow skiing, and everybody was falling apart. But I was the most spacious I'd ever been. Well, I was the only one that was able to go, okay, so we got to figure this out. And that was like one of those moments where I'm sure y'all have plenty of those where you're like, but this is meditation. Like, this is not my normal.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband was like, you were the only thing that kept us from having a miserable time. And wound up being very beautiful. And like that evening, we were able to reflect and laugh. And now we talk about that, that's going to be one of our favorite memories. But I think it takes someone being spacious and grounded in that and reflective of like, it's going to be a wave. We're going to get to the other side of it. We just have to ride it for a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just those little glimmers of, oh, yeah, there it is. when you don't feel like you're in it.
You don't know what's going on, yeah.
Not the daily 30-minute sits that are coming out, like, that wasn't anything, what am
Yeah,
I doing?
I know.
There's nothing to show for that, and, but you're.
What a waste of
The
time.
unsuccessful meditations are also successful. You must believe it.
Yeah.
And you realize later, it's like, it really is, even, it's like, yeah, so when things go wrong, it's like, oh, this is just a bad meditation session. I know what this is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you realize you changed. You change, but you're not the one who's making yourself change. The practice makes you change. And then you realize, oh, so this is the way we are now.
Yeah.
We're in a little bit better place.
Yeah.
A little bit more patience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so
And,
that's,
and then it compounds and so forth.
So
Yeah,
the
I
poetic
remember-
about it, maybe your transmission.
Yes.
Something, yeah,
Moving.
that's right.
That's right.
It's just like,
This is, I kept 20 years ago, whatever.
Let's do a dream analysis on that one.
Then the car won't drive.
we were in the middle of nowhere. There was
Oh
no
my
communication.
God.
We could make our phones work. It was so fun. And I really was like, this is crazy. I was really like watching. I was watching it. I wasn't in it. I was
Yeah,
not
there you
involved in
go. You got that little distance,
It
yeah.
was like, yeah, entertaining. I guess because I knew we were going to be okay. I mean, because it wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah,
Right.
It was expensive.
Desert island or anything.
that's very
What
funny.
would you say?
You're not on a desert island or anything,
No,
but your
they're-
plans have been interrupted. This is a first world problem.
First world problem.
Plans,
Well, the return to appreciation of humanity, like the people in that backwoods city rolled out. They came and got us. They put us up in a hotel. They let us borrow cars. It was the most. I mean, we were 5 humans in their space, and they were
Right, right. They have to-
But that was the main reflection for us that night. Was like, hey, people do show up. They do. I mean, we felt like we were in a desert island, but people showed up. People kept stopping and playing, and that's just such a gift when you're in
Yeah,
the season that we're in right now.
That's
yeah, it's funny, Betsy and I, I'm gonna tell about our flat tires. Betsy and I both we got together and we bitch a little bit about men, I'm just saying, a little bit.
Some of us have room for
It comes
improvement.
up,
Oh, yeah, a little bit. But both of us this past week had a flat tire, separately. And in my case, I was driving on Kavanaugh and my car started making this funny noise. And the men from the Arkansas Ozark Outdoor Center, you know that place?
Yeah, I love it.
They came out, they said, ma'am, we're gonna fix your flat tire for you. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I was gonna drive it to Firestone, they said, no. Pull it in here, and they fixed it, and they sent me down and get the tire fixed and all of that. And I was like, I get mad at these, there's all these men that are ruining the world in a lot of ways, they are. But then there's these man angels we decided to call them. She
yeah,
had
I
the
had the
same
same experience, but I was in Burrell, Arkansas, and I pull into a gas station because my light's on. And yeah, look at him. Yeah, wow. There's a guy standing right there with his truck and his trailer with cows in it. It's like, you got a flat. I'm like, yeah, dude. And I said, I'm really the idiot. My husband usually does things for me. I've never put air in a tire before. I felt stupid. But let me help you with that, And then he sent me down the road to, we were actually not at Pema, we were 4 miles from Pema. He sent me down the road to Pema where the guy could fix tires. So I had 2 engines.
See, what a great, there's 3 stories right there within a week of humans showing up, and I think that's what was so beautiful about it. I was like, oh, yes,
I would even call them all bodhisattvas because
right.
it's funny. Dr. Lai likes to say to us that the whole essence of the Mahayana is being willing to be inconvenienced.
Yes. Yes.
So, next time, we're going to read a chapter 16, which is called the Bodhisattva Path. I'm sticking to the book pretty closely. But this is about the 6 paramitas, if you've never heard of those before. And it is a contemplation practice, and we're going to take some time with that. And then we leave town, and you have Mike Mueller, who is one of the practice leaders for the Quantum Zen group, is going to do 2 classes about Zen. They're chapters from the book, and he's going to talk about Zen. And then Laura, you probably know Laura, she's in the class. She's going to do a session on secular Buddhism. She's been researching secular Buddhism, so.
Is that in the book?
Not in the book. Fresh, new. So, if there's anything you want to know more about, or in the reading that I didn't cover or whatever, please do speak up. I'm happy to talk about anything.
Well, y'all talked about teachers, and I think the retreat with Smalley that was in January.
Yeah,
I met with him one-on-one, and he mentioned that a teacher would be helpful, like having someone that you walk with. I mean, I've waited, and I'm still kind of waiting, but like, I know y'all do a lot online, but like community and having one-on-one conversations, I feel like are also, so I feel like a lot of this,
yeah,
I mean, here I'm dominating, because I mean, like, I
No,
really
no,
have so
you're
much
not.
to
yeah.
absorb, and I feel like I would benefit from a teacher. How do y'all, I mean, y'all mentioned finding them online, or finding you like a practice that you like, and then going through Dr. Lee and
Yeah,
yours, I forgot his name, but I mean, that you feel that y'all kind of,
no, ours is Chucky Pema.
oh,
He's in Nepal. Oh, you mean Chogyam Trungpa or Pema? Or whatever,
yes, yeah, I mean, so is that what they mean, and, or, I mean,
Yeah. You might find a teacher in a book. I'm saying, in the old days, in the old countries, in the original countries, Japan and Korea and China and Tibet, there were teachers down the block
yeah,
at the monastery. We don't have that in the West. First of all, there's too many of us and too few of them.
yeah,
So the modern version of that, of the teachers, comes in YouTube videos. You can go to retreats.
yeah,
Will was just telling me he's going to go to a retreat at the center up in Jasper. There's a Tibetan center up there. The guy, Nate Smalley, is down in Austin.
right,
So you could go down there if you really liked to. Dr. Lai has a place in North Carolina, and they're always doing things. So that's another way people connect. But the mission of EBS is to help people, so we expose you.
yeah,
And the groups that have formed, there is a group that has formed around Thich Nhat Hanh as a teacher. They read him, they talk about him, they are committed to his teachings. And they go over there. He has a monastery, Magnolia, California, Mississippi. So, you just you're gonna have to stretch a little, because they're just not everywhere.
right,
And then the relationship can be, I know people that have been reading Pema's books their whole lives. They've never met her, but they've watched her videos, or she does a lot of online teaching and recordings and stuff like that.
Yeah, in the Theravada world, there's not really this idea of having a teacher or whatever. It's just been different people at different times, and a lot of it's, videos and audios, books I've read and all of that. And then when I feel like I need to talk to somebody, I'll find somebody to talk to, like go to a retreat or just email somebody that has been here or whatever,
Yeah.
So you just sort of make your way.
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking that I often read something, just like reading that chapter from the loving kindness of Lynn, where I was like, this does not feel good.
Right.
It's like I needed to, I wanted to reference that with somebody.
Yeah.
I wound up pulling up ChatGPT and telling it. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't like this.
Yeah, what did it say?
And it was great.
Oh, yeah?
It was great. It was like, well, of course, because I've also got all this other stuff in there, and it's like, you've got mother issues, so of course it's going to sit right with you.
Right. I mean, ChatGPT has read a lot of Dharma talks.
It does.
So, I mean, there is a lot of
I've read more
Dharma
than we
in
have, that's
ChatGPT,
right.
you know.
ChatGPT is actually pretty remarkable at reflecting yourself back to you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you need to see yourself a little bit more clearly and ask it for description,
It has
you might not like what it is.
Just make sure you don't tell it to suck up to you
Yeah,
and pat you on the back, because it'll tell you,
Oh, yeah.
it'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
If it thinks you might quit using it.
Oh, but I wanted to mention just a name, Sharon Salzberg is
Yes.
like the queen of meta in the Theravada world,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes.
so, and she has tons of videos and books and
Yes.
everything else if you want
She has a new book too, right?
to. I don't know.
And she travels and teaches, does she travel and teach her, but I know you can go see her, right, or still
Right, I
or
don't know
not?
how much she's
Because
traveling.
she's of that generation, she might be like, we've had that problem, that a lot of teachers are aged out and they stopped traveling.
But it's
But
like
their
there's
books
so
are
many.
still around.
Right, and there's so many Dharma talks or whatever, it's like, there's all the, it would cost you $100,000 to go to all these retreats and hear all these Dharma talks, and they're all free online.
Right.
You can just listen to these great teachers,
And that's, yeah.
and so,
And sometimes there's like our teacher has we have an online program called dharmasun.org, and we're in Tara's Triple Excellence. And there's him and the teaching and the program, but then there's kind of like counselors.
Yeah.
We call them facilitators,
Yeah.
and you can be in a group with people, and at least you can talk with other people about it that are doing it.
Yeah, kind of like book club kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah. This,
This is the modern version. We all talk, we teach each other, we help each other.
right.
yeah, I went
It's
to,
an old version too, it's Kalyana Metta, right?
Yeah.
It's the Sangha, they all help each other
Yes,
and bounce things off each other.
yes.
uh,
And you've helped us a lot with your questions and your comments
Right.
tonight. You've helped all of us a lot. So I
Well,
want to thank you for that.
we are very grateful. The Thich Nhat Hanh Thursday group, and so that would be why I like coming to this, because I can ask questions, but and you can, but it's so formal.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It's like
It's
a,
Zen.
so tapping in, and I'm like, I'm just not that personality, so.
Right.
And so as much, I love him and I would love to do that, but it's not really a book group, it's more of like a ceremonial space, and it's lovely, it's very lovely, but I wish they had more, I wish it was like extended and they had some like discussion time,
Yeah.
informal discussion time.
But this is where you find your Dharma buddies though, and then you go have coffee after class,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
So you go and, once you figure out where you wanna be, you kind of then.
Make
you go with
friends,
other
yeah.
people.
Right, yeah, I mean, to talk to somebody, they need to kind of know you, right? And that takes time. So, this is a good place to make friends.
Yeah.
It has been great, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very thankful.
Yeah. Community is a big deal.
It's kind of a traditional method, and particularly in the West, it's a smorgasbord out there and you just click. But I like the kind of more woo side of, there's a kind of auspiciousness of where you find yourself.
But you
Kind of at the right place at always at the right time.
You meet the right people at the right
And
time.
so-
I do believe that.
And this is actually a good, a good place for that, because, actually when I can't think about the days when we used to have 3 or 4 retreats a year.
We used to have 5 or 6 retreats
And that
a
was
year.
pretty ideal, because you'd get a real full range and you would find somebody. And that was really wonderful, and people find just the vibe of the guy is very instructive.
He's got
Some
first
way.
in the line, yeah.
He's not necessarily will sit down and talk to you about any kind of real thing, he may not.
No, he doesn't do interviews.
Doesn't really, but, on the other hand, sometimes sitting, in breaks, he'll answer questions if there's something practical. But then there's people who will Dr. Lie, or have to tell you, So, again, don't get downhearted
Yeah, just curious, just because we were in this open space.
Yeah, we can
I was
ask,
like,
yeah.
It has been on my mind of like, I know that
Yeah.
that's just, let that happen, like whatever's
Yes.
supposed to happen,
Yes.
but I am curious on like what.
Yeah, we call it an open question, you held it there, it's time to stop. Because we have the 7 o'clock class to do. So like I said, I'll send the email, we're gonna read chapter 16, the Bodhisattva path, and I'll see you next week. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, team, I'll see you later.